Hello. Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professional Free webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this wonderful afternoon. My lovely audience, today I am your host for the afternoon. I am Yarnis Akhtar from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. I feel honored to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional Free webinar. Thank you all for joining us today in this marvelous afternoon. And it's my humble request to all of you to stay with us till the end. And don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends. So let's together and learn together. Today we have our topics turn your circles into your strengths. And our speaker name is Miss Shunesh Bardwaj. Uh, she is from India and she is a global motivational speaker, keynote speaker, certificate sales and soft skill leadership, behavioral teaching master trainer, life and business coach, writer, youth mentor, and women catalyst. So let's welcome our speaker. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you have to give your some short description about yourself. Then you can start your presentation.
Sure, I'll do that. First of all, a wonderful good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all my lovely audience because globally, I know you all are connecting to us on this beautiful Sunday, and it's really great to see all of you. Well, my name is Sunesh Bhardwaj, and I'm joining all of you from India. So, first of all, namaste from India. And I'm assuming all of you are going to have your fantabulous Sunday, right? Whichever part of globe you're joining me. So basically, coming down to me, I'm an engineer, electronics and telecommunication engineer by my, you can say, education. But my key interest was always towards business, motivation, and running into management profiles. And that's how my entire 17 plus year journey was with the corporate sector into sales, marketing, training, and operations. So I'm basically a global motivational speaker, a keynote speaker. I'm an author. Apart from this, I do train people when especially it comes to leadership coaching and mentoring practices. And I'm a women catalyst because I'm well connected globally on number of platforms where I'm serving as advisory board member or holding one and the other designation to help society in whatever the best possible way I can. And that's how today I'm here in front of you to share my knowledge, to share my experience so that the mankind can be benefited to the best. That's a brief about me.
Okay, ma'am. Now you can start your presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay, so
much.
on that note, just once I present my PPT, just let me know if it is visible to all of you. Please put a thumbs up or just a shout out so that I can understand. Yes, my PPT is visible to all of you. I guess it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is pretty much about me, which I just spoke to all of you. Being a certified train the trainer coach, a sales and leadership master trainer, I am into life coaching and business coaching, an author as well as an entrepreneur from the same industry. Now, coming down to today, very important topic is how to convert critics into opportunities. I know we all have our own ups and downs in life, and we all go through that whole sanctum of life because when we say this word called life, it's full of colors, and at the same time, it is having all the shades of colors. We need to accept all the shades of colors in order to enjoy our life thoroughly. So today I will be sharing certain examples, the real time examples, which probably can help all of you to connect much better and to lead better, that how I converted my critics into my opportunities, and which has helped me a lot to turn out to be a better individual today. And I expect the same thing even you all can turn out those critics into the most powerful way of opportunities. So that's what today pretty much we are going to understand and learn about it. Now, when I say critics, I know this is a very, very crucial part of every single person's life. There is no single human being on this planet who has never been into critics part of the life, right? So when we cannot have our life without critics, I think it becomes very, very important for all of us that why we should learn to handle critics. Let's understand this as a part of our life. Except first of all, this is a part of life, this is not a away part of life, because until and unless you don't have a acceptance to certain things in your life, you can never deal with that sector in your life very peacefully. So critics is one among them. So it is a part of our life, as I mentioned, because everybody has an opinion. Some are jealous of you, some want to drag you down, some want to help you, and criticism does hurt. Let's be very honest about it. Because I'm sure when people speak good about you, you love it. But at the same time, if there is a very, very straightforward person who comes with a direct intention of not from a hurting intention, but probably the words which land on you can turn very, very hurting nature. So that's called critics. Now it's up to you how you want to take that as a part of you to build you in a very strong manner, or you can just play around with that whole wordings of that gentleman or a gentlewoman to see that how I can hurt myself. You will certainly never have the ability to silence each of your doubters. So it is much better you develop a strategy to handle criticism. As I mentioned, we cannot stay away from critics. Critics, if you are a human being, is going to be a part of your life. So let's play with this whole terminology called critics in the most powerful way so that it can help us to build very strong rather than create negativity around us. So, in this whole session today, I'm sure we all are going to take certain very, very relevant inputs through which we can become a strong personality going forward. Who is your worst critic? Now, let's understand this first. A constant self criticism makes it difficult for you to handle criticism from others. In this, I want to give you certain very real time statements which we actually talk to ourselves. For example, you might end up by speaking to yourself, saying that I am like this person, I cannot do this work, probably I'm not good enough, or I don't have a power to handle very strong people, or I'm not good to handle so and so situation. These all statements are basically nothing but your own self criticism. I understand being a human being, no one is perfect, but at the same time, talking constantly, a self critic's talk is the worst sort of critic you can ever have with you as a human. Irony of life, we always think it's others who can hurt us. My dear friends, nobody can hurt you without your consent. So please stop blaming others first. Rather, start asking yourself a question. I think you are hurting yourself the most, right? Perfectionism and inner fears about outside criticism can stop you from progressing on your aims. And here again, I want to share something very, very real time practices. For example, you can stop facing crowd. Let's say you are very much scared to face crowd because you feel what people will speak to me, how people will look at me, how people are going to judge at me, whether I'm looking nice, presentable. These are all the kind of statements which can run backside of your conscious brain and which can certainly put you into a kind of self criticism talk. So these all, first of all, we need to accept it that nobody except you yourself is your biggest critics, right? So, but generally, as I mentioned, we always tend to blame people. So you need to stop doing that and first Start analyzing, are you doing this kind of self critic talk to yourself? If you are doing, I'm sure you will be able to figure out what sort of statements you are talking to your own brain. Make a note of it and just change those statements into a positive way. For example, you are saying, I'm not looking good. I'm not able to handle this. Start saying this. I may not be good, but I will definitely try my level best to do it to the good. The way you change the conditioning of your brain, whatever you are talking, you see the outcome in the very, very positive manner, my dear friends. Always understand you cannot stop talking to your brain. If you're saying, is there a mechanism that where I can stop doing a self talk? There's no such mechanism. But you can always control your mind towards whatever you are giving instruction to. So I think the self criticism can be stopped to an extent, and it can be converted into the positive self criticism kind of talk, rather than just juggling and troubling your own brain that why things are not happening. So, first thing, you are your worst critic, right? So, this is what something you need to understand. Don't expect perfectionism from everyone, and rather, even from you. Accept the way you are. You are a wonderful human being, and feel that whole wonderfulness in you, and then start changing constantly. That's the real game of change. Criticism is basically of two types. One is your destructive criticism, second one is your constructive criticism. First, let's understand criticism is a practice of judging the qualities and faults of something or someone. Let's say you meet someone who's a stranger, automatically, by the way you look at the person, you have a certain image about that person. If the person treats you really well, you say, wow, what a human being, wonderful human being. And let's say the person slightly ignores you because of their own XYZ reason, you say, probably the person is not good, or the person is having a lot of attitude, or the person does not understand how to respect others. On that way, we always give our statements whether this person is good or bad, isn't it? I hope you all will agree to the fact, right? So, based on that, we have two types of criticism. It's highly important to understand that how these two types of criticism can fairly play a constructive and destructive game in a human brain. When I say destructive criticism, this is the thought less feedback without any suggestions for improvement from another person. Like you go and tell to somebody, hey, you are not doing this in a right way. The opposite person is fairly into the receptive mode. The person wants to improve, but what is the biggest mistake you did here is you just throw a statement without telling the opposite person that what can be the action oriented approach to improve that action. So now that statement is actually going to work into a distractive mode. While by just giving the right thoughtful feedback about the same statement, you can convert that whole critics into a very, very constructive way. And this actually helps the opposite person to improve fairly good. And even you say that you have done justice to the power of feedback here. So, my ideal suggestion here to all of you, there's nothing wrong about a human. We all make mistakes, but at the same time, please have a courtesy and kindness towards others to tell them how they are supposed to improve. Because if you can really do that, part of your feedback mechanism, you can really turn out a human being to their real uplifting powers. And that's called the real power game. Next is when I say identify criticism, whether it is constructive or destructive, is again a very, very important task. Now, here I'm going to give you certain questions which you all can ask to yourself and help yourself that what sort of thought process you come with. Do you have a constructive approach, or do you have a destructive approach towards your self critic talks, right? So the first and the foremost question you can ask yourself is, whatever the feedback given to you or you have given to someone, is it irrational or helpful? Does it have only hurtful comments pointing out your mistakes? What is the tone of your critic's voice? Are you in a good relationship with the critic? If these four questions you are able to resolve in a very, very, I would say, constructive thought process, you will see that your mind will automatically give you a direction how to proceed, how to change, and what sort of action plan you are supposed to take with respect to that statement. Now, let's say you are into a work environment, you're working for MNC company, you have your manager, right? I'm just sharing an example. Suddenly, your manager comes and tells you, hey, XYZ person, this is not the right way to do it. And the person leaves. After this, you are constantly thinking, why my manager randomly gave me this particular feedback? Probably there are two ways to look into it. First is he's jealous of you, or he just simply wanted to utter out certain statements that might be the reason why he is coming and telling me a statement. Second way to look at the same is, hey, he is my manager, definitely he wants me to see growth mode in the company, and he literally wants me to help it. Probably somewhere my action has gone haywire, and I think it's right time to change my action here so that I can be grown in the right ladder. So, in the first statement, if you look at, I can turn out to be ferociously destructive. But while in the second statement and the second thought process, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the same statement towards my growth perspective. But before that, you also need to check, because every human being you are dealing, I'm not saying they are good or they are bad. Good or bad is always the perception of you, how you respect yourself. You can only treat people with love and affection when you have utmost love for yourself. And I believe you cannot treat people in a healthy way if you don't treat yourself into the most healthiest manner. So, in order to do justice, please first start loving yourself in a way how you want people to treat you. Correct? So if you find somebody is intentionally coming to you and they have this tender habit of coming and dropping down certain comments just because they are either jealous, they are either, they doesn't like that somebody should grow, there can be n number of reasons behind it. Don't try to figure out what are the reasons. Rather, I would say turn out that whole statement and energy towards your positive benefit. You need not to waste and drain out your brain that why this person has spoke. If you felt that the statement given to you was really powerful and you can really change in the positive manner, please pick it and immediately start working on it, because that's going to give you the right state of mind, right? Always highly important is, what is the relationship you share with the person who has given you a critic statement? Let's say a manager, when they gives you a feedback, I'm sure they are the right people to give you the feedback. The reason is they see you on constant basis, the way you work. They really know the kind of performance you have shown. But let's say if there is a somebody who is from a third party, or let's say they are from a different department, and only one day they are talking to you and they are probably trying to pass on certain statement which might not land up very healthy on you. So don't get panic, don't take it to your heart, because first and the foremost thing, you should understand from whom you should receive that particular feedback. If your manager is giving, definitely he's the right one, because he sees you in on probably on every single basis what you are doing, and something coming from him definitely is from intention of helping you out, so take it. But if somebody is randomly trying to pass on any comment without any reason, without any relationship, without even knowing you, then I think you need not to get into a panic mode. Just simply take it and start seeing to it. If you can pick something positive, good. If not, just leave it. Now let's understand how to handle this whole constructive criticism. First and the foremost thing, never ever react immediately when somebody says you anything. right? So by delaying your response, you prevent yourself from responding emotionally. Now, being emotionally intellectual is again a very big problem, especially at the workplace, because you will find at workplace certain people are too sensitive towards certain statements, while certain people are very rock solid hard. And you say, my goodness, how these people deal. If you really ask me, as a life coach and behavioral coach, I always tell people extreme of everything is dangerous. Don't turn out to be so sensitive, so emotional that anybody can come and play with you, your emotions. And don't turn out to be so hard rock that people always feel very offended talking to you, or they always get scared talking to you. You should play a fair game as a leader, so that you should not be too strict, you should not be too lenient. People always see you a human being who can be actually, with whom they can really come and share what is required to be shared. Correct? So this is what something you need to be a part of it. Next is, do not take it personally. As I just now mentioned, if you find somebody who is giving you a critical feedback or a statement, just see to it, does that person know you personally? Personally, in the sense, at least certain ethics about you, they know you, who you are as a person. Or at workplace, they have seen the kind of work, the performance you deliver. Or is it making any sense, whatever the statement is coming to you from the person, then you take it. But if you feel the person is absolutely not known to you, and randomly, just for the sake of giving a statement, the person has given the statement, you need not to take it personally. Correct? Because sometimes human tend to change their statements and they randomly drop certain statements. So don't get panic. Eliminate yourself from such kind of circumstances and focus on what being really evaluated, what actually fairly gives you a constructive frame of mind. You really need not to think too much about it. Why the person spoke like this to me? It's okay. Maintain cool, calm, and composed. Next is, know your self-worth. This is very, very important part of our life as a humans. If today we don't understand our own self-worth, my dear friends, it's going to be really, really difficult for all of you to handle criticism. Because then you will start torturing yourself for every single minute statement, for whosoever Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to talk to you, right? So do not allow criticism to define your self-worth. Let's say somebody comes and tell you, hey, today you don't look good. It's okay. First of all, nobody should have a dare to talk to you in such a manner, because how you should look is absolutely a personal choice. I'm not saying that you should look weird. You definitely should look very presentable. But at the same time, if somebody is just talking all these statements without understanding, the person never was themselves. And his only intention probably is just to torture people with their statements because they feel, wow. So don't allow people to get into that mode at all. Love yourself. You can always give them a very mild statement stating that, fine, I think today probably I miss it. Tomorrow I might look much better. It's okay. Correct? Concentrate on your strengths. If your strength is, let's say, your core strength is communication, and somebody comes and tells you, hey, you don't speak really well. They say, wow, is it really? Okay. Do you feel that somewhere you have gone wrong? Work towards it. But if you feel it was not worth taking that, just ignore it. You need not to torture yourself. But at the same time, please draw a fine silver line. Don't enter into an arrogant mode, because sometimes I have seen people who are too much into self love, they never understand when they are entering into a self ignorant mode as well. Don't touch that boundary, my dear friends, because that's again very, very dangerous. There's a huge difference when we say loving yourself, having your self worth, and being turning out to be self arrogant. Or you start ignoring people, or you start showing people a very weird attitude. This is not something I'm talking about. That's a second ball game or to it. Next is, accept that you might be wrong. Now, this is fairly a point which always people feel it difficult to tackle, because I have seen sometime people really gets into a mode of saying that, Sunesh, I do not know how to accept certain things because I feel I'm perfect. My dear friends, we need to understand we all are humans and humans are bound to make mistakes. If even as a very, very senior leader, you feel that there is a kind of mistake done at your level, never ever hesitate to accept that mistake, because that's the right way to move forward into the constructive manner, right? So nobody's perfect, everybody has some defects, as I mentioned. So once you have identified the criticism as a constructive one, no matter what, how harsh is your critic, admit that you have something to improve. If there is a mistake done with you, the real strong leader is somebody who can go accept that in front of their own people into the very, very receptive manner. And at the, at the same time, they also ensure that they are going to work towards it. And they really, really change after the same. You will see their actions. That's called you are taking your stuff into the constructive manner. Understand that you can't please everybody. Now, certain people at workplace I have seen, they are very sweet people, they are very good, mild, tender people. Their only intention is to ensure that everybody at the workplace is happy, nobody is having any regrets, nobody just get hurted because of their action. So you need to understand, we deal with massive brilliant people at the workplace, but does that mean that you need to please everyone? I think no, because every individual has their own way of receiving you. So don't get panic when certain people, certain group of people, if they don't receive you the way you are, it's okay. Probably they'll take slightly more time to understand you. So don't try to convince people, don't try to please people, rather try to change them by your good characteristics and qualities, which can really, really bring these people closer to you, right? You cannot please everyone. It's not possible. No matter what, how well you do your job, somebody is going to criticize you. You have to accept this particular fact in your life. Always value criticism. This is very powerful, because if you can learn this art of valuing your criticism, nobody can torture you. When people share appreciation, we always feel happy. But when somebody comes and criticizes, it pinches us, because we feel we are not being valued. We feel we have been rejected. And then we feel at such a senior level, how somebody can come and talk to me like this? Rather, it's a other game. Appreciate the people who share valuable suggestions. Now, what I mean to say here, there will be people who are fairly giving you this whole statement of criticism because they have seen something, right? So you should understand what to receive and what not to receive. So you just have to have a space where you can really take your criticism into the most constructive and growth oriented mode. And I always believe if we don't have a fair amount of critics in our life, we are not growing as a human being. In order to grow to our fullest potential, we need to have the right critics in our life. Now, right critics, irony is people will never come with saying that, hey, this is right, this is wrong. It is someone you who has to identify what is good for you and what is not good for you. Remind yourself the benefits of getting into constructive feedback. I mean, constructive criticism. It helps you to boost your humanity. It gives you an opportunity to improve yourself. As just now I mentioned, a right amount of critics is very healthy, needed in an individual's life to turn them into the better version of they themselves. You become more open up to your new perspectives. Probably so far you were playing very, very orthodox or probably into a very limited shell. If you can have the right constructive criticism in your life, you can really be open to the new challenges, new perspective, and you can really change the way how you look at people. It helps you to improve your rational thinking. It gives you an opportunity to choose peace over conflict. Always understand, Each and everything, no matter what, how positive it is or how negative it is, can be communicated, provided that we should have the right choice of words. Next is understand it carefully. When a person gives you a feedback, listen first rather than just interrupting them and entering into a conflict mode. Do not scrutinize or question the person's evaluation immediately, I would say. Take some time, process that into the brain, that if a person, whatever they are speaking, from which side, from which angle, from which background this person is talking, or what made this person to talk like this, process it. Don't directly jump onto the questions. Focus on exactly what you can gain from the experience. Because I believe, let's say if you have a manager who is well experienced, well knowledgeable, and he sees your work on daily basis, and in your one on one meeting he gives you some sort of negative critics or a feedback, and then immediately your brain start giving you a signal, how my manager can speak to me like this. Don't question, first always understand, if such a senior person or an experienced person is talking, there might be some very strong reason behind it. Try to identify what made this person to use this statement and directly hand it over to you. If still you are not able to figure out, after a minute two, just take a break and ask the manager very in a very assertive manner that, can you please help me out how to work on this, or what made you to speak this, so that I can work very constructively in order to change this behavior of mine. Because when you talk to people like this, people are not going to take it up in a wrong sense. Rather, they become very helpative to you. Thank you, critic. Now, this is very difficult, I know that, but at the same time, you need to learn how to appreciate the fact the person has taken some time to talk to you, and that has really helped you to become a better person. Because as I mentioned, critics, constructive critics, you will find very less people in your life who are probably very happy to see your growth in a right manner, but you will have a lot of people and probably bundle of people around you who might give you fake comments, probably boost you fake way, and then they mildly have something to see when you grow. You'll find all alone. So if you have one or two those people who are very straightforward, who gives you right critics at the right time, please thank them, because God has sent these people like angels in your life to make you a better human being. Never ever avoid or ignore such people, because thanking people is another aspect of saying the divine universe that I'm so thankful that you have powerfully blessed me with such kind of souls who can really uplift me on this planet. Do not respond to the tones of the criticism. Now, this you might have seen happening n number of times in our life, right? When we see somebody is just raising their voice, or somebody is trying to give you critics, automatically your brain says, how I can stop myself? I have to respond, because if I don't respond, it will be a direct hit on my ego. My dear friends, the right leader is someone who understands where to talk, what to talk, and where not to talk. Talking every time, increasing the volume, just talking for no reason, or raising your voice is not the ultimate solution to handle criticism. A lot of people have this myth in their head that if we talk high, we talk in a very high vibration, or probably we talk aloud, this can really put the other person in pressure and the person can streamline the thoughts. It is not so. Always try to respond to the useful suggestions. Don't waste your energy and time with people whose job is just to criticize people for no reason. Because in this way, you will lose your mental power, you will lose your mental peace, and you will also start drifting yourself towards the negativity of your life. Never ever try to do that. Rather, that keep that space open for positive people so that you can have something constructive in your head. Ask questions to get more clarity. As I mentioned, when you get anything as a critics, always process it for a minute in your brain. If you are able to get the right answer, fairly good. But if not so, and you need more clarity, never ever hesitate to ask people questions. Respond very calmly with your questions to get to the root of the problem, because without knowing the root of the problem, you will always be confused. And if you are confused, you cannot do justice to it. Correct? Break down the feedback to understand what to do next. You can share your perspective, ask for specific instance that can help you understand the problem, because finer details is needed to get more clarity. And if your brain says no, I'm still not clear, never ever hesitate to ask questions, because I have seen couple of times people are good enough, they want to improve in life, but something stops them. And this is one area which stops them, because they feel asking questions means the opposite person can consider me that I'm not competent enough. It's not the case. You are competent, you are working very hard, that's why you have a lot of questions. People who don't have questions, I'm not saying that they are not working, but at the same time, their mind probably is not progressively working towards the growth curve, right? So you need not to feel bad when you have more number of questions. Always ask, but only ensure the set of questions you are coming should be relevant, and it should make sense to the person to whosoever you are asking. Take care of stress. Stress is another love buster, I would say, in our life nowadays. If somebody has to, a lot of people ask me this question, Sanesh, stress, I want to get rid of this. My dear friend, you cannot get rid of stress completely, because stress is an integral part of life. And again, I have worked out with this term called stress, because I believe the right amount of stress and a healthy amount of proportionate stress is always needed in our life to just push up towards the betterment of life. Only thing is, you should not slip too much into the distress kind of situations, too much overthinking mode that puts you under depression. So I always tell people, don't worry if you have stress in your life. Just see to it how much, what is the amount of stress you are bearing on your head. Are you doing excess towards it? Are you excessively involved into overthinking process? If that's the thing, you need to check on. But a right amount of healthy stress is always needed to ensure that we are in a disciplined mode, we know what we are doing, and we are getting through our successful journey of ensuring that we are bringing the best version of we ourselves. So take a deep breath to reduce your stress levels. Whenever you find something is kicking you off, take a break for a minute or two, have a deep breath, and then start resume back on your work. Ignore the incorrect criticism. As I mentioned earlier, you need not to make everybody happy. If you are just taking certain statements because you want somebody should feel happy, somebody should always be good to you, you are on to the wrong side of humans. Right? A human brain is the most intellectual brain which can play into any direction. So you need to understand, you cannot have people around you who are always telling you good things. And in fact, that's not called leading a human life. You need to have fair amount of positive and negative sort of people in your life, so that you can balance the whole aspect of being into human life. Correct? So some people are critical for everything. You must have seen such kind of special breeds on this planet, where they always have this problem of pointing out, no matter what, how good the thing is, they always have a tendency to find out something wrong with the most, I would say, accurate thing. Correct? Never take seriously such kind of criticism. And the best part here is, never ever indulge into any kind of conflict here, because I have seen very strong leaders, sometimes they found such kind of breed in front of them. They, if the person is saying, hey, you're wrong, and I say, okay, is it? I'll see to it. They have a smart way of just ignoring that whole stuff, because they know it does not serve the purpose, it does not make sense to get involved into any kind of conflict. Right? Next is, criticism may not be agreeable all the time, but it is necessarily, as I mean, it fulfills the same function as pain in the human body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. Like in a human body, we all have sometime pain. It's emotional pain, physical pain, or sometimes you say like my head is paining, my hand is paining. Suddenly by sitting, sometimes you say some nerve is paining because of no reason. You don't know what is really the reason. Same thing, criticism is like this in our health, right? So don't get too much into the negative form of it. A right amount of criticism is absolutely needed on a life, because that push you towards the betterment of your life. So don't get hesitate when people criticize you. Rather, start taking them into the most powerful and constructive way, because that can really help you to go forward and lead a powerful life. Now, how critics impacts your work life balance, this is another term which always people have problem to manage, because a lot of people say this, that work life balance is very difficult to attain. My dear friends, it might sound like difficult, but it is absolutely not impossible. You have to crack it, the code. And the code is very simple. Let's understand what is work life balance. It's a concept which include proper prioritization between your work and lifestyle, because I believe as humans we need to have everything in our life. You cannot say without work I'm happy. Without earning money, definitely you're not happy. Whether you earn money through your I would say working under someone, or you're running your own business, or whatever sort of work you do, you need to have some sort of fair, decent, healthy earning, so that you can fulfill your desires too. And top of this, we do have a lifestyle. Means your health is very very important, your pleasure time is also very important, your leisure time is also important, your family and spiritual development, all these things are very very important in life. Because as a human, you are incomplete if you don't have the full balance, I would say, in terms of all these elements in your life. Competition, why we have imbalance, let's understand this. Today our life is completely under this whole act of imbalance, because we have tough competition. We have fights on daily day to day basis. Oh, I want to become better than my neighbor. Oh, I want to improve better than my cousin. I want to go abroad and have more amount of salary as compared to my friends. So always, if you look into, our brain is busy in constantly giving us statements which hardly make any sense to us. Right? So please understand that you're a part of a healthy competition. Don't simply ruin your life because you have unhealthy competitions or unhealthy people around you, and that is only creating imbalance in your life. Set your ambitions on your individual basis, and then see to it how to grow into it and have a healthy competition spirit, rather than entering into an unhealthy way of competing. The downside of work life balance, imagine that your life is represented by a stove. I just want to share a very practical example here. Our life is like this. There's a stove with four burners on it, right? Each burner symbolizes one major quadrant of our life. Let's assume this. So the first burner represents your family. The second burner represents your friends. The third burner represents your health. And the fourth burner represents your work. Now, these are core four quadrants which I have picked up here to make it more simplified. I hope these all four areas are very, very important for all of us to be and survive like a human. Right? Now, these four burners theory has that in order to be successful, you have to cut one of your burners. And in order to be really successful, you have to cut off the twos. Now, as I just mentioned, these four are such an important part of our life that we barely can compromise on any one of it. But let's say if I ask you that you have to cut down one, or if you really want to be successful, you have to cut down two. What are those two core areas which you will be disconnecting from your life? Quickly put it up in the chat box and let me see how many of you really can get into this whole way of what to cut down and what not to cut down. Let me see on to it. Few responses I want to see to it. We are open to the comments right now. Please push it out into the comment section. Which are the two areas you would love to cut in if you have been given an opportunity? Okay, people are writing right now. Till then, let me just get into this. So, the burner looks like this: we have work, we have health, we have family, and we have friends. So, some of you might say, no, for me, friends probably I can sacrifice. Or some of you say, family I'll manage halfway through because for me, my health and work is very, very important. Some of you might say, my health is suffering because for me, family and friends and work is very, very important. So, we all are going to have our own way of looking into it. So, my dear friends, you all need to pick your burner very carefully, right? Option number one, you can outsource the burners. Option number two, you can embrace the constraints. And one of the most frustrating part of this four burner theory is that it shines a light on your untapped potential. It can be easy to think, if only I had more time, I could make more money, or I can get in shape, or I can spend more time at home. But it's really tough to disconnect that whole part of from your life, right? One way is to manage the problem, shift the focus from one to another, and keep juggling and keep limiting your thought process. So never ever get into that mode of limiting your thoughts. Rather, expand your thoughts. For example, you all can assume I can only work from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. 5 p.m. How can I make most money possible? Some of you can think like that. And some of you can think, hey, I'll only work for 5 hours a day and I want to make the best money in that particular work hours. Right? Some of you can assume I have only 15 minutes. Each day I'll write how I can finish my book as fast as possible. Or you can assume that I can only exercise for 3 hours each week. Can I get in the best shape possible? Now, these are a couple of examples, couple of goals which you can set and you can start firmly working on it to have the best utilization of your time and theory of four burners principle. Option number three, the seasons of life. Third way to manage your four burner is by break your life into seasons. What if instead of searching for perfect work life balance at all the time, you divide your life into seasons that focus on a particular area? Like one time you work on your work, one time you work with your family, one time you work with your, let's say, whatever the preferences you have. And in this way, you will be able to again manage with all the different spheres of your life. Important of your burners may change throughout your life, but when you are in your 20s and 30s and you don't have children, let's say, it can be easier to get to the gym and chase career ambitions. Utilize your 20s and 30s, early 20s and early 30s, to have the best potential in you as a human. Commit to your goal with everything you have for a season. Now, this is going to be probably the last part of this today's session when we talk about turning our critics into our opportunity. Today, we all know the global economy is expanding. Do we commit to our goals? It's the by hook or crook, we all need to commit to our goals, whether we like it or we don't like it. And that is pretty much putting us into a longer working hours. International businesses are happening here and there and people are engaged. That's pretty much contributes to our fairly, I would say, tender amount of increase in the stress levels. Don't overbook yourself. There is a solution. Set your priorities and then you work accordingly. If you feel there is something which probably you cannot accommodate, say no. Learn to say no, because this can help you really to organize yourself. Because if today you can organize yourself, you can really be a better planner in your life, and you can really have a time to do something in the major section of your life. Use technology. Today we all use technology to have the fair deal of what we are doing. Burnout, crafting culture, and balancing strategies are there in order to help all of us to deal with it. Burnout means you are overly loaded because you just want to make people feel very happy around you. You burn out yourself like this. You have taken additional burden and you are not able to fulfill. That's why you will enter into mental fatigue. You will be having inefficient work at the workplace. Never ever fall into this tendency of burning out stage. What are the various strategies to balance yourself? Schedule, communicate, set your routines, mark an end to a task, interact with people, and have right breaks in your life. Because if you cannot have these six principles or probably strategies, things and life become very challenging to you. What are the benefits? If you can have a work life balance, you feel more rested and organized, you work more productively, you become more fulfillment towards your work, and your relationships you'll see are improving with family and friends. You have a very better physical and mental health because you are at peace, and you make better choices, and you have leisure time to spend with your loved ones for yourself. So this was pretty much on that when we say about going and talking and utilizing our time and converting if people are saying something as a critics, how you can turn out that whole critic sense into the most powerful opportunistic way so that you can be benefited to the most, and at the same time you will not indulge your energy and senses towards unnecessarily I would say contribution of negative energies. Because for all of us today it is very very important as humans where we are engaging our thoughts with. Is our brain is constantly drilling out the negativity side of life, or we are constructively and healthily improving in certain areas of our life, is quite a big question to be asked. And I'm sure today, by this session, it can really help you to have something constructive in your life and workplace so that you can have a better productivity, you can have a better way of looking towards people. And if you are suffering from this constant critics, now you have a solution how to tackle this. So that's all from my side for today's session. Thanks again, once again, Institute of Global Professionals, for inviting me for this wonderful session. Thank you so much, my lovely audience, for listening me so patiently throughout. Love, light, and abundance to all of you. Sunesh Bhardwaj from India.
Thank you, ma'am, for your for your nice presentation. It's so
Thank you.
wonderful presentation. Ma'am, it's time for our quiz competition. After completed our quiz session, we come back again in our question answer session. Okay, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay. Dear participant, now we'll go our quiz session. To join this session, you have to go www.slido.com. Then you have to enter the code. The code is IGP2. After short video, we start the our quiz session. So let's enjoy the our quiz session. Dear participant, it's time for our quiz competition. To join this session, you have to go slido.com. Then you have to enter the code. The code is IGP2. Please, everyone, join with your full name since it will be directly put on your certificates that will be posted on our Facebook official page. And top 10 will be awarded with quiz completion certificates. Already in our session, 26 people are joined. So please everyone join early in our session. Dear participant, we are still waiting for your joining. So please everyone join in our session. To join this session, you have to go www.slido.com. After that, you have to enter the code. The code is IGP2. Already 32%, 32 people join in our session. After 1 minute later, we start our quiz session. So, dear participant, to join this session, you have to go slido.com, then you have to enter the code. The code is IGP2. Now start our quiz session. First question: instead of criticizing other people, we should focus on their strengths and give them first option compliments, second option confessions. And 100% people tell that compliments. And correct answer is option 1. And our top ranker is Danis Gueneto Serso. Our second now question. The Reut converted the quiet estates of that suburban community into first option charlatans, second option shambles. And the correct answer is option 2, and 48% people are right. And our top ranker is Maria Beraldraja Campos. Third down question. The man's personality was a strange mixture of strengths and weakness, force and dash. First option, Charlton's. Second option, Shambles. And the correct answer is Shambles, and 20% people are right. And now our top ranker is Evangeline and Miguel. Fourth now question. Jeffrey has always been a person, so it's not a surprising he got into an argument with his colleagues. First option, contiguous. Second option, quarrelsome. And the correct answer is quarrelsome. And 74% people are right. And now our top ranker is Charlene Kalizu Yamaguchi. Our five now question. Critics of bloat oil believe manufacturers should offer the option of clean installation. Is it true or false? And 91% people tell the true, and only 9% people tell option 2 false. Now we see the correct answer. And the correct answer is option 1 true, and 91% people are right. Sixth now question. The movie was so popular that many people came to the conclusion that it must be good, yet critics thought otherwise. First option nay, second option confidential. And the correct answer is first option nay, and 62% people are right. And now our top ranker is Joel Barnason. Seventh question. Local patriot militias who were ready to spring into action during the rape were, were known as first option Minutemen soldiers in a second. And the correct answer is option 1. And now again our top ranker is Joel Barnason. Our eighth now question: thought critics dash at minor faults in the new Broadway show. The general public loved it. First option was created, second option captured. And now we see the correct answer. The correct answer is option 2, and only 29% people are right. Ninth question. Critics of New Deal said it would drag the US into what? First option, a welfare state, and second option, a critical state. And the correct answer is first option, a welfare state. And the last question. Critics of Brexit say that leaving the EU will turn dash the clock and make the UK like the 70s. First option back, second option around. And you can see that 59% people tell the option 1 and 41% people say the option 2. And the correct answer is first option back, and 59% people are right. Congratulations, Joel Barner, sir. He's our top ranker. Then in second position, Ricky R. Colima. In third position, Charis E. Suarez. In fourth position, Charlene Calizo Yamgachi. Fifth position, Evan Gillen Amigil. Congratulations, our top 10 quiz competition are winner. We have all of your name which you entered during joining. We'll pick and prepare certificate and we'll post them on our official page and within 15 minutes. And our Facebook official page is Institution of Global Professional. Now it's time for our question answer session. If you have any question, you can ask. Participant are requested to ask their question in comment box. Please address speaker name after question answer. We will share certification process. So let's enjoy our question answer session.
Hello?
Hello, ma'am. Welcome back in our question answer session.
Yes. I can see
Uh,
there is one question.
ma'am, I wait, ma'am.
Yeah, you can just highlight.
From Flomi Regal Salvijo, good afternoon, ma'am. Why is criticism an opportunity to improve?
Very good question. So, just to answer this question, see, we as humans need to understand we are not perfect. So, let's say I give a very simple example. You want to learn a foreign language. Just by taking the notes of the foreign language, you'll become master, or by practicing that with a tutor, where a tutor tells you this is right, this is wrong, this is the correct way, this is how you're supposed to, you will improve and you'll become perfect in that. I'm sure the second way, with a tutor, when a tutor really tells you this is right, this is wrong, because it is equally important to become the master of something to know both the sides of it, positive as well as negative. Similarly, critics in our life actually plays the same game. We should not get afraid of handling critics. We should not get afraid of what people are talking. Only thing is you should have a mindfulness towards what to pick, what not to pick. When you can do that, I think you can fairly become a very powerful human to uplift your potential and to become a better version of you. So, in short, if I have to tell you, criticism is needed to become the powerful version of you yourself. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, ma'am. Uh, Dear participant, we are still waiting for your question. So please, everyone, ask your question early. Dear participant, if you have any question, you can ask in our comment box. Uh, Ma'am, there is no more question.
All
Thank
right.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. It has been so informative presentation. I think
Thank you.
everyone can learn from your presentation. Any last word for our participant?
It's just as simple as that. Follow whatever you have learned today practically in your life so that you can be a better human being to lead a life. So, thank you. Love, light, and peace to all of you.
Okay, ma'am. On behalf of IGP, thank you, ma'am, for giving us your precious time and share your knowledge. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening and have a lovely Sunday.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Dear participant, now it's time for our give you webinar code. So please stay with us. Our today we are our topic is webinar topic is turn your critics into your strengths, and the webinar code is IGP 7689. Uh, the webinar code is IGP 7689. To claim your e-certificates, first you have to go to www.eduigp.com. Then you have to click sign in. Then you have to log in if you already have an account. Then create new account if you are new. Once you logged in, click free webinar, select the webinar title and click continue course. Get enrolled if you have not enrolled yet. Then type the code in your certificate code, and the code is IGP7689. Uh, then get your certificate. It is auto downloadable in PDF file. Thank you so much for your active participation. I hope everyone can learn from our today's webinar. Uh, and don't stay happy and blessed, and don't forget to tag, share and like our page. Thank you everyone. Stay happy and blessed.